Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about the lessons from pandemic. A pandemic is defined as an epidemic occurring worldwide over a wide area, crossing international boundaries and usually affecting a large number of people. If we see this COVID-19, which started in Wuhan, in China in December, is now across the world, like it's devastating the whole number of lives crossing the international boundaries. The World Health Organization has declared it as a public health emergency of international concern on January 30th, 2020. And if you see the rate of the spread, we can see like when it has crossed like 78 lakhs people are now affected, and over 4 lakh people are dead due to this virus. So this indicates the kind of effect it has on globally. So in didn't we have earlier a precedents of this type? Yes, we do have it in our literatures. In Bible too, there are references to plagues, fevers, eruptions, plagues, consumption, pestilence, and so on. And Egyptians and Philistines too had their share of pandemics, and they attributed mainly to the vengeance by tribal gods. In 5th century BC, there is a description of a plague of Athens in Thucydides, the Peloponnesian War, and which was described as being highly communicable disease and which was associated with overcrowding, and which when we see that the present situation, like people are asked not to crowd together. So there are a lot of commonalities when we see that due to plague of Athens and now the COVID situation. And also, we have a reference to Justinian's plague, which was described in Procopius' History of Wars as during these times there was a pestilence by which the whole human race came near to being annihilated. So that is a kind of fear which even we have nowadays. Like there's a fear that human race is going to be annihilated. Like there's this kind of mm, panic of human race, which is seen even today. Now, it is also the Black Death in Europe in 1348, which MacArthur calls as the greatest calamity that has befallen the human race. Interestingly, when you see the situations during the Black Death, when Boccaccio describes, against this plague, all human wisdom and foresight were in vain. Orders were given to cleanse the city of filth. The entry of any sick person was forbidden. Much advice was given for keeping healthy. So now it's the situation, like we see there is the scare of uh, people entering one city to another, so they avoided. There is this kind of and loss of trust, people, and they're not even allowed to enter a city or a village. And there's a lot of health consciousness to be clean, using a lot of sanitizers and masks. Regarding deaths, Boccaccio tells a buyer might carry several bodies. The dead were buried in any grave which could be found. The lower and most of the middle classes were not buried at all, but left in the street or houses. There were so many bodies that the cemeteries ran out of consecrated ground and had to use mass graves. This again reflects the situation now, in many of areas like Karnool. The people just left the bodies in scare look on the streets and without proper burial. And if you see in Italy, there were like coffins laid, even some international airports were turned into places where coffins could be kept because there were so many people dying and there's no place to bury them. So this is a sad situation, like which was there even earlier. Now, when we look at it, so there is a talk of like Malthus, demographic studies, which says that nature has a way of controlling the population, and disease is one of them. But also the other effects of there is a versus it versus a biology, like where there is a need to create also. So during these times, but it was seen that uh, due to the guilt and the doom and the hopelessness of bringing children into this kind of pestilence-ridden world, there was a decline in the birth rate too. So death has again brought in a decline in the rate of death. Now, in the latest, if you come to another thing where it is talked about, we have Years of Wonders by Geraldine Brooks, which talks of bubonic plague of 1665. And Karen Thompson Walker in Dreamers talks of a deadly virus infecting California, which again looks prophetic because the kind of it's very recent, and it kind of talks of how a virus devastates California. Now, Albert Camus, in his book The Plague, which is also allegory of a Nazi occupation, talks of the noble acts of the medical people during the time of crisis. Now, even now, you see like how the doctors and nurses are, praised for their acts of kindness and their duty in the midst of such mistrust and a lot of uh, pandemic devastation around. Now, these pandemics, why do we need the literature? What does literature help us? How does literature help us in coping with them? It acts as a kind of a deja vu experience. It gives it so that it's not one of its kind for the human race. So we have passed through such calamities in the past, which gives us strength and confidence to face the present situation. It is also a kind of healing effect. When you read the literature, it gives a sort of a healing effect that yes, it is possible to overcome it, and it is possible that human race will overcome it. And one more thing is like by these pandemics can bring the worst or the best in human beings. You can become a selfish hoarder, trying getting all the things, and you don't want your neighbor to have it. You have a gunpoint, people snatching things at a gunpoint. Or you can also be a good Samaritan by donating things to the people, needy people, and healing the sick. There's a lot of not only of a physical, social, mental stress during these times because of the fear of death, the distrust, the isolation, the hopelessness. So it has a lot of sociological and economical and spiritual impact on the people around the world. So, but so when we look at the things, the Camus beautifully talks. He says that each of us has the plague within him. No one on earth is free from it. So it's not the corona outside which is plaguing us. It's the corona which inside each of us, which is also hurting a lot. So each of us have to fight this. And he also talks like of a recurrent danger, like it is not like it is going to end by June or December. He also talks like when for the bane and the enlightening of men, it will rouse up its rats again and send them forth to die in a happy city. So it isn't this threat doesn't end. So it's looming dark, and it's looming dangerously. It may come, it may strike at any time. So now these literatures also give us the need to get back to the normalcy, the need to stay calm in times of crisis, and the need to accept calamities as a part of life, which is very much needed at this hour. Now, it is also like a reflection of how man has exploited the nature, and the nature is now throwing back. It's showing how it can strike human race at any point of time. And I would like to end it with the lines of Eliot from Wasteland, where he talks like looking at so many people dying and in a fear, in a panic ridden world. Now this is an unreal city under the brown fog of a winter dawn. A crowd flowed over London Bridge. So many. I had not thought death had undone so many. Thank you. So these are the lessons we can carry on from the literature during pandemics. Thank you so much.